This Aries partial solar eclipse is going to ignite the soul fire that we may have put on the back burner for far too long. My name is Carly, and we're going to talk about the Aries partial solar eclipse that's happening on March 29th, 2025 at 6:58 a.m. right at sunrise, Eastern Standard Time. If you are in a different time zone, please adjust your time accordingly. But I think it's perfect that this eclipse is occurring right around sunrise, at least where I live, because Aries is associated with the sunrise. And I made a post on my Instagram, so if you want to go ahead and follow me, my Instagram is water_within. And I talked about how Aries is the first day of Aries is the spring equinox, and how in pre-Christian times the equinox was known as Ostara, or as we know it now in the Christian tradition, Easter. And in Ostara, we were celebrating the coming of the sun rising again, the first day of spring. And on Easter, we are celebrating the rise of the Son of God. And so Aries is very much associated with the energy of resurgence, of coming alive again after a long winter of being asleep or being dead even, as nature was not dead, but sleeping for a portion of time. A lot of things did die and they come back, or there's a new start that occurs, right? So we are feeling maybe this revitalizing, resurgence, revival with Aries energy. And right now, it might still feel a little sleepy to us because we still have an entire stellium of planets in Pisces, which is 4 or more planets in Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and Aries is the first sign. So we're at this liminal place right now between the end and the beginning, the void, and we can understand when we're at this place that nothing ever ends, and when we come to an ending, we also have a beginning. And since this is a new moon solar eclipse, we are starting a new cycle. A new moon is the beginning of a lunar cycle, and we are also seeing that after a year and a half of Aries eclipses occurring the past year and a half, this is going to be the last Aries eclipse that we have until we move on into the new North Node, which is Pisces. So it's funny, we are feeling this back and forth energy, perhaps between wanting to start something new and wanting to look back at the past and review, and wanting to rest also. Aries is about kickstarting new things. It's the first sign, and it's a cardinal sign, which means it's initiating something. So it's the first day of spring, it's the first day of a new season. And we are still having these energies of when Aries was the North Node the past year and a half lingering now, because we were taught during the last year and a half with Aries on the North Node of the moon how to be a beginner, how to start something new, how to branch out into the unknown and into something that we may have never done before, into something that's maybe a little bit scary, that requires us to have some courage, to be bold, to cultivate our confidence around so that we can have the confidence to start something. And we can let go of some of the pressure around being perfect as well, because Aries is about starting something new and letting go of how it's gonna look, how it's going to come off to other people, because Aries is about doing things that light us up. So I titled this video Soul Fire because Aries is the fire and Pisces is the soul. And when we have these two stelliums, because we do have a stellium in Aries as well, we are having these two energies come together, and that term soul fire is what came to me and felt right for this, because I truly believe that with this age of Aquarius, with Pluto in Aquarius as of last November, we are moving into a paradigm where we are going to be able to do things that light us up, that truly fuel our soul fire and fuel the soul and fulfill the soul in a way that we never have before. And you know, we're used to working a job that we maybe felt like we had to, and we felt that we, you know, needed to sacrifice our needs and our wants and our desires in order to get money, in order to work, in order to survive. And with this age of Aquarius, it's calling us to figure out what it is that truly lights us up on the inside, that we would do without getting paid. Something that we would do that just truly feels like our soul mission and truly brings us happiness and joy and pleasure and fun even, because with Aries being the first sign of the zodiac, we can imagine the zodiac wheel as a journey of the soul. And with Aries being the first sign, it's that first spark of life. It's that first breath of the baby. And babies are born head first, so Aries rules the head naturally. So we are maybe being asked to, really think about what it is that lights us up. Really ponder that, because we not only have the sun and the moon together at the same point, that's what a new moon is, at 9 degrees of Aries. Check out where you have 9 degrees of Aries or any of the cardinal signs: Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. And we are seeing Mercury in Aries as well at 0 degrees. Mercury is retrograde. Mercury rules thinking and logical thoughts and cerebral thoughts. So we are asked to really ponder what it is that lights us up and really take that time to still be still and to really think our actions through, because Aries is a very action-oriented sign. We might be feeling a sense of urgency around trying to get to what we are wanting to get to, our goals, and we need to just take a breath and take a beat and really think about what we're doing, because one of the unhealed qualities of Aries is impulsive and reactive, and you know, it's that quick draw of the sword, that quick draw that might end up with actions that are regrettable. It might be that, you know, impulse to punch that guy at the bar because he looked at your girl wrong, you know? And that might be regrettable. There's a balance with Aries that it has to find between not taking any shit, but also not becoming a arrogant asshole that just tries to dominate everyone because that's how it finds its sense of power. So, with Mercury there, with the sun and the moon, we truly are being asked to take a moment to think it through and to not overthink at the same time, because with Virgo on the south node, Virgo is about that overthinking and about going over the details over and over again, and worrying about all the details and playing out all the worst case scenarios. And so we can get caught up in that, and Aries helps us to shoot our shot. It helps us to take that bold action and realize, like, yeah, maybe it won't be perfect, but we're gonna try anyway, and I'm gonna give myself that permission to be a beginner, and I know it will bring me happiness, whatever action it is that I'm wanting to do. Really asking ourselves, is this gonna bring us happiness? And if it does, then who cares anyway if it's perfect or not? It's for us. It doesn't matter what other people think about it. So I will just say, this whole YouTube channel has been that for me, and I started to really get into these videos more during the Aries North Node portion of last year, and I am super excited to see where it goes, and I'm also completely unattached to the outcome because this helps me. It is a way for me to get into my voice. It's a way for me to get comfortable being seen. It's a way for me to practice what I've learned about astrology. It lights me up. So, hence why I am here doing this for free, and I'm not really attached to what happens there. Yeah, I would love for this to be my job one day because it obviously makes me really happy, but at the end of the day, I'm doing this because it's for me. And I also find that it is super helpful for people to hear about what I have to say. So I know I have that gift to share, and I'm not going to let my fear of being seen and being perceived and being imperfect stop me. So there's just one example there. Let's talk about Venus retrograde, because Venus is, today I'm recording this on Thursday, which is the 27th, and so 2 days before the new moon. As of right now, Venus has just moved into Pisces, and we had it in Aries as soon as it went retrograde. And Venus is playing a really big role here because Venus is transitioning from an evening star, which is her Aphrodite phase, that loving, sensual, passive yin type of Venus, and we're moving into this more yang, action-oriented warrior princess, war strategist of Pallas Athena, and they both are Venus, but she has two sides to her, and when she goes through her retrograde and she transitions from being the evening star into being a morning star, which is what we're seeing right now, we're seeing her take up arms, and she might have had enough of the imbalances that she's been witnessing, because in her more passive state she might have been able to witness and stand back and observe what's happening, and now she's ready to take action on behalf of what she loves, because Venus is the planet of love. So right now, Thursday is when Venus has moved into Pisces, so it does soften that a little bit, that warrior aspect, and it's about taking action from a spiritual point of view. It's about taking action from what God has called you to do, basically. Once again, that soul mission. And she will be retrograde until the end of the month. So that's the Venus portion. Let's talk about the ruling planet of this new moon, Mars, which is what rules over Aries. Mars is the planet of war and action, and it is the planet of the divine masculine as well. So we, with the last year and a half of Aries on the North Node, the divine masculine was truly being asked to reframe, and it was being asked to begin to understand itself, because Aries is about knowing oneself. It's about knowing one's needs and desires, and knowing oneself so much that it will advocate for its desires and needs. So with this last year and a half on the North Node, Aries has been working with the divine masculine and reframing what it means to be a protector, what it means to be a warrior, what it means to be a man. And as we've seen on the collective stage, we have had here in the United States a toxic masculine archetype on the stage of our political stage. And I'm not gonna name names, but I think we all know who I'm referring to. And this person who represents this toxic masculine archetype has been showing us as a collective who we have been, as what we've decided was manly, what we decided was powerful, what we decided was successful. And we, as most of us, have decided that is not what we want the divine masculine to be. So we've been given that gift, and I know that sounds crazy to say that it's a gift, of seeing him as a reflection for us all to look at and for us all to see what we don't want to be. And I truly believe that the divine masculine is a protector of the less fortunate and of the less heard, the smaller, more vulnerable, more compromised groups of people or animals, perhaps. And I truly believe that the divine masculine is starting to wake up and starting to understand what it really means to be a man. And so with Mars in Cancer right now, it has been asked to truly feel its feelings, and that has definitely not been part of the classic masculine archetype that we have been given as a rhetoric, as a collective. And a reminder too, I know that I've said this before in my past videos, but I want to reiterate that when I talk about the masculine or the feminine, Venus or Mars, I'm talking about that energy that resides within us, because we all have both masculine and feminine within us. So whether or not we identify as one gender or the other, this applies to everyone. And especially to women, actually, because I, as a woman, have had to become overly masculine in order to survive in this world that, it's a patriarchy. It is truly a masculine system that we reside in. So it was a very, dog eat dog type of world. It still is, actually, but it's starting to soften. It's starting to understand that that's not sustainable. It's starting to understand that it takes more strength to be vulnerable. It takes more strength to stand up for the less fortunate and for the smaller guy, and for to be a defender of the smaller, more vulnerable people, or groups of people and groups in general. And how much strength does it take for a man to say, I'm gonna stop subscribing to this old way of being and I'm going to do something new. That's what Aries does. It does something new that's never been done before, and it can be really scary, but it takes courage and it takes strength and it takes confidence. So that's essentially the bottom line here, and it takes guts to do something that and trust that we know brings us pleasure and happiness and soul fulfillment. It takes a lot of guts to take action in that way. So and the trust aspect, that's the Pisces. Pisces is about having faith and about not knowing the plan and trusting and, you know, giving it to God and knowing that God is asking you, and this is whatever you deem as God, whatever that inner knowing is, that because it's within us, it's that soul mission. What is that soul mission that you've been given during this lifetime? And it really might not make sense to anyone. It might not be logical. Mercury retrograde. It might not be, you know, on paper very safe even. But we have the courage, and we can now have the courage to do those things and to take action in that way. So with Mars in Cancer, it's definitely not happy there. It's definitely uncomfortable with feeling its feelings, because Cancer is about realizing our sensitivities, realizing our level of safety, and really like understanding where we are at, how safe we feel wherever we are, whether it's in our home or not. It can be about defending our home. It can be about defending our family, defending our sensitivities, realizing that there's power in your sensitivity. Mars is also about power. And realizing that, yeah, it truly takes more strength to admit that you're vulnerable, to admit that you're not safe, to admit that you need help, because Aries is also about the individual, the I am, and it can be about isolation, and it can be about singularity because it's number one. It can be about having trouble asking for help, but with the confidence that Aries has, it has the confidence to ask for help and to know that it doesn't matter how it's perceived, because it knows that it needs to get a job done. It knows that it needs to power on and take whatever resources it needs in order to get to that goal. So, what goals have we been setting? What seeds have been planted during the winter time, during that dark season? Now we're seeing the light, and we're seeing those blooms, and we're seeing the little sprouts, and we are maybe starting to see what energetic seeds that we planted in the winter start to come to fruition as well. But of course, remember, this is the new moon. So once we get to our full moon, that's when we really have that culmination point where we might be able to see, right? We can see the full moon on the full moon, and on the new moon we don't see any moon. So we'll just continue on this way forever and ever. Planting seeds, coming to culmination, planting seeds, coming to culmination, and becoming intentional about the seeds that we plant, because with the Aries energy there is that sense of urgency, and it might be thoughtless, it might be impulsive, it might be wanting to just do what's quicker, easier, and faster for the sake of getting it done, and maybe not actually doing it with intention and just to check the boxes. So it's funny because I normally really take a lot of time to watch every single video on YouTube from the other astrologers that I follow. And this time I didn't do that. I barely took any notes. I wrote down all the notes that I did take were just from my own knowledge and from my own feelings and intuitive channelings. And so it was quicker, faster, and easier per se. And it also really, with the one video that I did watch, I felt very differently about this energy than the person in the video did. So not entirely differently, but it was different, and it was because it was my interpretation, and this is my interpretation, not anyone else's. So just thought I would throw that in there, because I noticed that was very in alignment with the energy. But yes, we will see Mars move out of Cancer and into Leo on April 17th. And so hopefully when Mars, which is that divine masculine, it's Aries, they're both there. Hopefully when we see Mars moving into Leo, we see this divine king-like energy emerging from the divine masculine within us and within the collective. That energy of sovereignty, that energy of the good king instead of the king that's a tyrant. Because we definitely already are seeing that. Once again, not going to name names. It's funny, he's like the or whatever, he who should not be named, like, yeah, anyways. So, the other big thing I wanted to mention, actually there's two things. We're going to see Mars making a square to Chiron, which means that the divine masculine is being asked to really look at those core wounds, because Chiron is the wounded healer. And we're looking at what wounds have caused us to feel that we need to dominate, that have caused us to feel like we need to, be angry and take people down. And we are seeing what wounds have caused us to be that toxic masculine in whatever form it's showing up. And that could just be isolation. There could be, cutting oneself off from the rest of the group, because that can be so toxic and so damaging to the soul. So coming back into community is going to be a really big theme with the Pluto in Aquarius. That's definitely going to be a thing for the next 20 years or so. We're going to be maybe reframing what it means to be in a group and be part of a community, reframing our thoughts about what kind of community we want to be part of. And that's going to be a long story over the next 20 years. So, with that square, just really being gracious with ourselves, really, being compassionate. That's what Cancer is about too. Compassionate to our sensitivities, compassionate around our intense feelings, because Aries is about intensity as well. And so just really having that awareness around this weekend. If things are coming up, let us just be easy on ourselves. Don't turn toxic masculine on yourself. Don't turn it around and beat yourself up, or, tear yourself down or dominate yourself, because that's not gonna be the healing balm that our hearts need during this time. But at the same time, Aries takes no shit, so maybe we are getting fed up with ourselves, and we finally have that breaking point of, all right, enough is enough. It's time to do something different. It's time to take different action and to really think about how we need to change, and what action is required to make that change. So the last thing, until I start to talk about just Aries more, we are finally going to see Neptune moving into Aries at the end of the month, the 31st. So that's 2 days after the new moon. Neptune at the 29th degree of Pisces, where it is really, really powerful because Neptune rules Pisces, has possibly brought up escapism, haziness, confusion, disorientation, wanting to, sleep all the time, drowsiness, tiredness, wanting to try to just escape this reality, because Pisces is that point where the soul is leaving the body. It's that liminal space, it's that void, like we said at the beginning. And out there, you can get lost. And so maybe this energy of, I was lost and now I'm found, is what we might be feeling at this new moon, or when Neptune does make its move into Aries. And it could be this feeling of waking up out of a deep sleep. It could be this feeling of having your eyes opened and you have this realization of, holy crap, I've been living my life on autopilot, and I have been giving my energy to something that doesn't light me up. I've been giving my energy to things that have sucked my soul, and I've exchanged my soul for some superficial bullshit. So there could be some realizations and some like waking up energy when it moves into Aries. And I think that's really beautiful. It's very uncomfortable once again, but I think it's definitely needed, and I think it's definitely, it's just going to be different for all of us how that shows up. So, other than that, Neptune at 29 degrees, that's a big one. That's a really big one. And, it's right there on the North Node. The North Node is at 27 degrees of Pisces. So, we are really asked to reframe. If we're feeling any of those things that I said, like haziness, confusion, escapism, those are the unhealed qualities of Pisces. What we want in this North Node time for the next year and a half with Pisces on the North Node, that's our true north. We're being asked to work with that energy and to heal it and to reframe it within ourselves and to come into that more spiritual and more unconditional love and that more forgiving nature and that more amazing grace nature. And that is really, that's a tall order to fill. So just really having grace for yourself, having that unconditional love for yourself first. I would say that's definitely Pisces Aries cusp energy, is like turning that in towards ourselves instead of making it about anyone else. Let's take that into ourselves and let's continue to nurture that unconditional love for ourselves. Aries is about self-love. Pisces is about unconditional love. Forgiving ourselves for whatever it is that we've been through and we've done and we consider, a mistake. Some of those things that we might regret in our lives, we can maybe finally start to forgive ourselves and move forward. Aries moving forward. It actually will move forward to its detriment if it has to. It will charge forward on the front lines, and yeah, that's great. You're so brave and you're so great, but you might die right at the beginning of the battle if you're just charging forward and you don't know when to stop and you don't know when to take stock and revise and say, hold up, is this actually gonna serve in the long run? Is this gonna, am I gonna get burnt out right away because I started charging forward and I ran as fast as I could, and then halfway through the battle, I'm pooped and I make one wrong step and it's over. So really just taking that time to think, really taking that time to, but not to the point of overthinking. It's all about balance with the zodiac, right? And I want to go ahead and tell you, because Aries is a fire sign, drink more water. If you know me outside of YouTube land, you know that I'm that girl that's always got her water bottle with her and who's always reminding other people, did you drink water? Are you drinking water? Especially if we're out there partying, you know, like if you're in that escapist addiction type right now with the Pisces, just drink your freaking water. Just drink it water. You know you have to drink water. You're made of water. And with that Pisces stellium, it's really like, let's not forget. Let's not forget we are made of water. And so with the two stelliums, let's go ahead and talk about that. Pisces stellium, Venus will be moving, or did just move into Pisces on the 27th, Thursday, today. The North Node in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, and then Neptune in Pisces. That's 4. That's a stellium. Aries stellium, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Chiron. Yeah. Chiron. He counts. He's not a planet. He's an asteroid, but he counts. He's a big deal. All the asteroids are, and I'm really starting to learn more and more about it. So it's coming to this channel soon. But right now we just talk about Chiron. Also don't want to overwhelm anybody, because I know I am already here's everything type of astrologer. Gonna refine that and take it down and not get too caught up in the details, not overthinking everything. That's the key. So we're gonna see Mercury actually move into Pisces, so it will be switching from Aries to Pisces on the same day as the new moon at 10 p.m. that day, again, Eastern Standard Time. So we will see that stellium switch, and we'll have a little bit more energy in Pisces. And maybe that Mercury moving into Pisces is about taking time to pray and taking time to communicate with God and taking time to turn inward and maybe listening, hearing ourselves for the first time, or what seems like the first time. And maybe it's, getting a whole new perspective on our mind and ourselves, and that could be through psychedelics, it could be through going to a spiritual retreat, it could be going to church, it could be tuning in with spirit in whichever way that serves you. I'm not here to advocate for escapism. I am here to advocate for psychedelics, though. Just saying. When done right, psychedelics are. We're living in some really amazing times. Actually, it's really crazy. You can go to the smoke shop these days and buy mushroom chocolates. If you didn't know. Just saying. Anyways. Once again, not advocating for escapism, using psychedelics with intention, using psychedelics for a purpose of expanding our spiritual nature and expanding our consciousness and expanding our perception of ourselves and of our journey and of the collective. It expands everything. So, big fan. With this Aries energy, it's fire, and so fire rituals, burning your intentions is going to be really, it's always a thing for a new moon, but especially with fire moons. Burning candles, burning incense, maybe having a fire outside because it's starting to get warmer. Maybe it's the first bonfire of the year. Observing the sunrise, especially on the day of the new moon, would be really amazing. That just made me emotional for some reason. Not like that's not common, but yeah, just saying that really felt like, okay, Spirit's calling me to do that. And so, you know, whatever that means to you, whatever kind of way you want to connect with that fire element, you can do that. Maybe it's connecting with something like a sauna, something that combines heat and water together. Maybe it's like a hot tub, or maybe it's like a hot springs, or you know, something like that. I know I talked about hot springs last video, and I got to go to a hot springs in California, and I'm so grateful for places like that, these natural pools that the Mother Earth has warmed up from the inside, and it's just this natural healing energy, and heat can be really healing. Maybe you go to a hot yoga class. I am a hot yoga teacher. I would be messed up without hot yoga in my life because it has healed me and helped me so much to detox, because, you know, we're sweating it out. We're realizing how much of our weight is water weight, how much of this unnecessary, you know, weight that we're carrying is just water. And, you know, sweating it out is so amazing. If you know, you know. So, and also with Mars, because Mars is one of the malefics, it's one of these planets, Mars and Saturn are both the malefic planets, that tends to bring challenging situations. We're not going to say it's bad. We're not going to say it's bad, because it's not. It's going to present a challenge that we can overcome, that it might take us some courage and some strength and some confidence to get over or work through and power through. And, you know, we can power through using that spiritual motivation, right? If we know that this is our soul mission, and we know that this is part of why we came here as a human being, we can use that as motivation to get us through the hard times. And I think that's perhaps what we are going to be working with this energy. And so we also, with the Mars being a malefic, we need to truly stay a little vigilant. Again, no worrying, no over worrying, no overthinking, no being obsessed with the plan or what it's supposed to look like, or perfectionism. But Mars rules over sharp objects like swords or knives or whatever. It rules over aggression and fighting. And so it rules over fire. So maybe there's like some sort of situation that happens. Hopefully not. Please everyone be safe. I hope everyone can be safe, but this is good to just have the little heads up about, because there could be some things that happen during this time, and it could be scary, and it could require us to really find a new level of courage to get through. So, just being aware. No, nothing is gonna happen. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Astrology's not about predicting the future. Exactly. It's about sort of predicting the future, but we can't say one way or another what's going to happen. So we just need to be aware. That's what astrology is. It's that awareness of, it's like the weather forecast. You look outside, or you look on the weather forecast and you see if it's going to rain or not, so that you can be prepared and bring an umbrella. So, fire rituals, burning your intentions, writing down what it is, because it's technically the new year according to the pagan calendar. Writing out your New Year's resolutions for the year to come. the year that's here. And I want to point out too that Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and it is that leader in a way, but it's not the real leader. Like, if you think about a war, it is that frontline guy that's ready to charge, that's ready to go, that's fearless, that's like here to fight for what's good. And then Leo is that other fire sign that's actually the true leader, like the king, who's not on the front lines, who you know, has that safe place, or not necessarily safe place, but it has that place where it's standing back and it's observing the big picture because it wants to make sure that everyone is safe. It's the protector of its people. The king is supposed to be the protector of its people, not the perpetrator. So I just want to make that distinction because I actually was under the impression that Aries was about leadership, but that's more of the Leo realm. So it is that pioneer. It's willing to go forward into the unknown, and it's willing to do something new. But at the end of the day, that Leo is still more of that leader, king archetype. So when we think about Aries, we can use children, or we could actually use a baby goat because Aries is the ram. And we can look at these two, the baby goat and the baby, or the toddler, and we can think about how the baby goat is like jumping around and like climbing all over and making noise and, you know, being adorable and like doing whatever makes it happy, even if it might be kind of annoying to some people. And it's this like joyful, playful aliveness that a baby goat has. And it's, when it comes to a toddler, if you think about how toddlers, when they start to talk, they can just go up to anyone and make friends with them, and they can start, you know, talking to anybody. They can wave at people that they don't even know in the store. I'm someone who absolutely adores when children, you know, don't know me, but they are just waving at everyone and they wave to me. I feel so special when I get waved at by some random toddler. And really remembering the power that could have, you know, even just smiling at someone that you don't know. You know, smiles are contagious, laughter is contagious, and friendliness is, it can be really scary to be that first initiator of, I want to be your friend. Here's me extending that hand and, you know, making the first move in a boat of friendship. So I think the world could use a lot more of that right now, myself included. And so, yeah, Aries does rule youthfulness as well. And I swear every single Aries person that I know looks like they just got pushed through a birth canal. Like, they are this young looking person. It doesn't matter how old they are. They have somehow maintained this youthful look about them. It's incredible. I love, like, continuously finding that I love to continue to find that is true in every single Aries placement that I meet. I have yet to find where it's not true. And so the last thing I will say, in the trigger warning, because I'm going to say a word that makes everybody giggle, everyone who's immature is going to giggle at this. Aries is about the soul coming down into the body, right, and being born. It is a soul that penetrates a physical body and comes into a physical body. Ha ha ha, she said comes into. And so Aries is asking us to be that penetrative energy in our lives and to, like, reframe and understand where we are using that energy can we use that energy in a more healthful, soulful way? Can we use that energy in a way that doesn't just serve our own selfish needs and wants? It's our soul mission, which naturally benefits all, because we're all inherently connected. That's Pisces, is realizing that we are all connected, all of us, everything. And what we do, and that action doing, that, you know, penetrative energy, that stuff affects other people. And if we're working only from selfish desires and needs and wants that aren't, you know, actually our soul mission, we can cause a lot of damage, and we can even start a war within ourselves or within the world. So the last little bit that I will say here is there's a list of healed and unhealed traits of Aries, just to go over basically what I've just said in a nutshell. The healed aspects are confidence, courage, passion, the warrior archetype, that's actually the divine masculine, a pioneer, someone who's youthful and vital, instinctual, so letting yourself know yourself enough to tune into those instincts, being bold, and being action oriented, being actually able to take action instead of just talking about it, or instead of just procrastinating or whatever it is. And we have the unhealed qualities: arrogance, impulsiveness, hot-headedness or anger, dominating for power, immaturity, no sense of self, urgency and impatience, aggressiveness, and thoughtlessness. So, there we have it. I could go on and on about Aries the ram and being associated with Pan, the god of the Lord of the Goats. But just to really quick actually tie that in, Pan is the god that hung out with Dionysus, which was the god of wine and partying and debauchery. And so we really have to check ourselves when it comes to escapism, addicted patterns, you know, and just simply not giving a fuck in a way that can cause ourselves harm and harm around us. Because, yeah, Aries doesn't give a fuck, but we have to realize when that becomes damaging, and when that becomes, you know, because Pisces is that self-undoing. If it goes too far, it can be that self-undoing. It can land you in the freaking nut house. And so really just coming back into that awareness around, okay, is what I'm doing too much? Am I going too far off the deep end here? Coming back into being in touch with that wild side, always, of course. Don't let the wild ever die, but don't go too far to where you lose your humanity, you know? Once again, it's about that balance. So, I have this quote here from my Wee Moon calendar book, my witch's calendar. We love the Wee Moon people. I've had this calendar for a couple years now. I'm really, really grateful for all the little poems and art, and you know, it's a book of astrological transits, so I use it mainly for that, but also really just love all the contributions that it's like a bunch of different people came together and added in their art to make it more beautiful and meaningful. And this is called The Shift. Something moves on the wind now. Star patterns show us a sign. A rhythm pulses from the sun. Keeping time, heartbeat of the earth. Tidal waves and firestorms come swiftly to shake us awake. We are wizards of wonder. We employ joy as our weapon. We make love, we make music as acts of resistance. Resistance, but dance. We take what is waste, revive it with our creativity. We must look on our world with the inspiration of an artist, the love of a mother. Omens implore us, come, conscious, rise up. Are you here? Are you aware? There is a shift happening. You must face it with care. Thought that was way too perfect. And so, to end this video, I will go ahead and draw a tarot card. No oracle deck today. We're going to go deep. We're going to get real. This is my favorite deck. This is my Adventure Time deck. And it's from Catherine Hillier, if I said that right. She is the artist behind this deck, and if you are a nerd like me and you like Adventure Time, you will love this deck. It is so amazing. So, I am here to draw a card for the collective on this upcoming new moon. I would love it if the cards showed me what it is that is needed to be seen for this video. Please give us a card that represents the energy of this Aries new moon partial solar eclipse. Okay. Oh. Wow. Okay. So, we have the Six of Wands reversed. I'm going to show it to you upright. Oh, if you can see that. Let's check it out. I use this book called The Creative Tarot, which is its own standalone book. It's not attached to this deck, but it's a really beautiful interpretation of the Rider-Waite deck, and it's about looking at it from an artist's perspective. So here we are. Boom. Turned right to the Six of Wands. That's fine. Anyways. So remember, this is reversed, so we're going to see what it means, and then we're going to take that meaning and flip it upside down. A man sits astride a horse. He is surrounded by a cheering crowd. The Six of Wands on the card are tied up with festive wreaths and banners. He is either off on some adventure or coming back successfully. To be literal, the man on the Six of Wands card is back on the horse again. Yeah, love it. Let me finish before I've already got what I'm trying to say here, but hold on. He has overcome some sort of battle or hardship, and now he is confident and back in control. His success is celebrated by others as well. The Six of Wands can also be trying to show you that you are lording your victory or power over others. There is not a lot of humility in this card. Make sure your celebration is proportional, that you do not lose yourself in the parade. So with it being reversed, I think there is some humility there. I think there is some need to maybe allow yourself that moment of gratification, that really to see how far you've come, to give yourself a little bit more credit than maybe you have in the past, because maybe you felt you haven't been worthy of that. You know, again, yes, not lose yourself, but also just, yeah, give yourself that recognition and understand that you did something hard by overcoming what you've overcome and for coming as far as you have. So that one was pretty spot on, obviously. I do have the 10 of Swords reversed on the bottom of the deck. We're going to take a look at that. Ten of Swords, a nasty end, bloody and violent. You fought for something, and you lost. This is the darkest of the tens. A man lies on the ground. Let me show you before I continue here. A man lies on the ground. 10 swords are stuck in his back, and there's blood on the ground. The man's face is turned towards the horizon. He is either already dead or quickly becoming so. With 10 swords, the man is destroyed under their weight. The swords represents thoughts, ideas, and fears. They are not useful because there are too many of them. The 10 of Swords is a card of defeat. There is nowhere else for his thoughts to go. They have destroyed him and his potential. The hope of the card is the gaze towards the horizon. His act of surrender can lead to a new beginning, but first defeat must be felt. So for me, obviously, we are asking, we're looking and dealing with the masculine archetype within us and outside in the world. And maybe men in general, or the masculine within us, or within us all, is feeling defeated and feeling like it's gonna be really difficult to come back from all the damage that's been done, from all the pain that's been caused, with all the wars that have been waged. And with the reversed, I think we are finally able to see that horizon, and I think we really are truly finding the strength to carry on after everything that's happened, after all the damage and all the pain and all the violence. And we can look to a new horizon, and we can surrender. Pisces is about surrendering, and it's about no action. It's about being still and about feeling our feelings. Pisces is a water sign. It's about feelings. And so, when we feel those feelings, we might actually feel like we're dying. And we might actually feel like there's no way to come back. But there is. There's always a way. There's always a new beginning when we come to an ending. And with that, I will end this video and wish you all a beautiful, healing, and transformative new moon solar eclipse in Aries. If you haven't already, like I said at the beginning, please subscribe and like this video. Maybe send it to someone that you feel like it would be helpful. And I will see you in 2 weeks on the full moon.